Put them on, much better. I can see now. Good morning. Hope everyone's doing well. Now, Paz has recently put out a video which has actually reminded me to do my take on my own little video on one Ricky Jones. You know, the lovely old chap who decided that it was time to slash the throats of all the people that were considered far right. Basically inciting violence. The same thing that they did up Lucy Connolly for 31 months. Now, I will play devil's advocate a little bit for Lucy Connolly's sentence, as the sentence she's got could have actually been a lot worse. The maximum sentence, from what I understand, as far as inciting violence is concerned, or inciting violent disorder, apparently the maximum sentence for that is 5 years. So I guess she has gone off quite lightly as far as that's concerned at 31 months, which is obviously about 2.5 years. She got about slightly over the middle mark of the sentencing part of it. So obviously she did say, I don't set fire to the hotels and what have you. I don't think anybody can question that. Was it something said irrationally, impulsively? Yes, it was. But unfortunately, no matter how much we might want to say she shouldn't be locked up for a tweet, unfortunately you can't really defend inciting violence. If it was just making a tweet that hurts someone's feelings, then obviously I can understand, obviously she shouldn't be in jail and what have you, in my humble opinion. Sorry, the ladle that I used for the soup last night. Anyway, the fact is that as much as we may want to sit here and say she shouldn't be locked up, she did technically incite violence. But here's the thing. This isn't about Lucy Connolly. This is about Ricky Jones. And what they've done regarding Lucy Connolly, they have to factor that in when they're sentencing this former Labour councillor. There seems to be a running trend now, isn't there? Former running Labour MP councillors and all that shit. There really seems to be this running trend going along. I'm surprised they're not working out of the gym at this point. But I digress. It seems to me that a lot of these Labour MPs do have a tendency to break the law quite a bit more furiously than the Tories. Not that I want a Tory to be a PM or MP or whatever, because they're both two cheeks of the same shit-covered arse, quite frankly, and you all know which party I would rather support. But here's the thing. As far as Ricky Jones is concerned, this could be what breaks the camel's back. This could be the straw that literally breaks the camel's back. What makes you wonder, though, is it made of plastic or is it made of metal? Anyway, if they don't sentence him appropriately as far as his incitement to violence is concerned, it'll showcase beyond and to the inclusion of every reasonable doubt that there is a two-tier justice system. It won't be a broken justice system, but a bent one. It'll be literally the most bent system that we've ever come across. Now I'm just going to put this little disclaimer out there. I have my airsoft pistol to hand, but I'll be showing more of that later. But they have to take robust action on Ricky Jones. Bear in mind, if we compare the two, Lucy Connolly said to burn the hotels. She also said, maybe in bad taste, I don't care if the migrants are in there, basically. That's essentially what she was saying. She was saying, burn the hotels, I don't care if there are any migrants in there. Burn the lot down. Was it unwise? You could argue. Ricky Cutthroat Jones, on the other hand, was out in public with all of his lefty NPC supporters, and he said, on camera, into a mic, so it's beyond and to the inclusion of every reasonable doubt, that he incited this, he categorically came out and said, we need to cut all their throats because they're horrible, disgusting fascists. So he's advocating directly for violence against other people. Whereas Lucy Connolly merely wanted the hotels burned down. Obviously, they're both incitement. That's not what I'm trying to get at here. I'm not trying to say one's incitement and what's not. What I am saying, however, is one person doesn't want to see people get harmed, the other person does. Normally, when it comes down to like a court case, court hearing or what have you, normally I'd be well within the confines of the law and I would be like, you know what, I'm not going to say this, that and the other, it's going to be alleged until I know otherwise. However, for Ricky Cutthroat Jones, it's beyond doubt because the footage is there for everyone to see. All you need to do is watch the video where he says that shit and his guilt is proven. Just like that. He is guilty. It's as simple as that. That information is already out in the public domain, so they can't come after me for contempt of court. But if he does not get sentenced to at least 31 months in prison, I personally hope that he serves 5 years personally because of the fact he directly threatened people and he did it in front of his supporters. But if he does not get sentenced to at least 31 months and has to serve the whole sentence, not just part of it, he must serve the whole sentence, then we know that the system is bent. Simple as that. What do you think? Do you think they're going to make it 31 months? Or do you think that they're going to do more gymnastics than a high school gym? What do you think? I think I know where I'd hedge my bets, quite frankly. I suspect what will happen is the judges will try to reduce this charge of inciting violence to inciting disorder or some other lesser charge, and then they will bring the gavel down and say guilty, and then say, you know what, we're going to give you a slap on the wrist. You naughty boy, you better not do that shit again. That's what I suspect will happen, though this is me speculating, of course. I don't know what's going to happen, as I'm not the judge presiding over the case. I suspect there would be a crater in the dock if there was. Anyway, I'm not the judge over this case, so I can't tell you in good faith this is what's going to happen to him. I can only give you my subjective opinion. But what I can say is that the whole world, okay, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but certainly most of the United Kingdom are going to be watching this case very carefully. They're going to be watching to see what the judge does. They're going to see if they're going to dish out the same justice they dished out to Lucy Connolly onto Ricky Cutthroat Jones, or if they're going to try and do all the mental and lawfare gymnastics and then do everything they can to see Ricky Jones get off at best with a slap on the wrist, or at worst, scot-free. But of course, the mainstream media won't tell you this. You know the drill, folks, because say it with me. It doesn't suit the narrative. And all this in the wake of the riots in Ballymena. The riots that took place, I actually got it wrong in my talks and strokes. I actually said Sandford. It's actually Salford. So I will apologise on that much. But it doesn't change the fact that over the United Kingdom and of course Ireland, we are seeing more and more riots taking place. Now, as I've said before, I don't condone the violence. I don't condone the criminal damage. I don't condone attacking the police officers. But I will say this, I completely understand people's frustration and why they're going down this route. I completely understand, and they do have my condolences, if you will, for how badly they're being treated by their governments. Because obviously we live in a two-tier policing society. And the way I look at it is, what happens if we have people who have their legal armaments, their weapons and what have you? What happens, do you think, if the United Kingdom were to grow a pair of balls, whether up here or down there, or in my case both, to be able to say, you know what, we've had enough of this, we're taking action? What if some of these people are armed? What if some of these people are armed with weapons that are capable of firing bullets rather than BBs? As I've said before as well, and I'm going to reiterate, because I like to do this to, I guess, cover my own arse, even though it's a pretty fucking big arse, and it's a very, very difficult one to cover. I certainly haven't got big enough hands, let me tell you, although I could give myself a good squeeze. But jokes aside, anything that is two-tone, so you can see the blue and all that, cyan, you could technically say three-tone. But basically any two-tone guns, you don't need a UCARA license to hold. But what happens if somebody has a firearm and they decide, you know what, I've had enough, I'm taking action? It's going to get nasty. I don't want it. I'm not calling for it. I'm not going to advocate for it. I'm not going to condone it. But what you have to understand is boiling points are at an all-time high. And all it takes is for one more miscarriage of justice, or one more bit of treachery, or one more young child getting violated by the so-called religion of peace. All of a sudden, you might see a lot more of these. Only they won't be two-turn BB shooting firearms. It'll be people who are armed with real weapons that shoot shells, that shoot bullets. And then you will have a problem. Because, as I said, I don't want people to do that. But the cold, bitter truth is, I can't control everyone. I don't think anybody can control everyone, quite frankly. Not even Keir the traitor Starmer would be able to do that. But what happens when people decide to let off some steam? That happens. When they decide they've had enough, they're going to take to the streets, and all of a sudden it's going to be all-out warfare. And then you will know about it. I don't want to see a violent revolution. But I reckon at most we've got like 10 months left before that happens. Like, I do not sign on to the idea whatsoever that we have 4 years to reclaim the country. That is bullshit. 100% bullshit. I reckon we've got, at worst, 4 months. And at best, I think we've got 10 months. And the reason I say that is because I've been repeating this basically a couple of months ago, and I was saying 6 to 12 months back then. And I'm counting it down over time. So anybody wondering why 10 months specifically? That's why, because I've been counting it down from 12, quite frankly. But the bottom line in all this is that Ricky Jones has been inciting violence towards right-wingers, which, whether we're plonkers or not, and some of us might be, he hasn't got any right to do that. And as a former Labour councillor, he certainly shouldn't be saying that, because he should be holding a position of, well, I say respect, but does anybody really respect the nonce party? I mean the Labour Party. Or maybe I was right first time. I don't think so. I think they've garnered about as much respect for themselves as I have for salad. They have as much credibility as a low-grade bank clerk. They are not people that we would openly respect. They are people who we would be openly shunning. They are people who we would consider the enemies of the state. They would more rather look after the religion of peace than look after their own indigenous people of the United Kingdom. And our justice system has a chance to prove that they're not completely two-tier. They have a chance now to prove to us they can dish out some real justice. They have a chance to prove to us that we're not living in a two-tier justice society. But they need to prove beyond doubt that they are going to enforce this with the same level of authority that they did with Lucy Connolly. And if they don't, then we will know full well this country is cooked. And I'm talking 200 degrees in the oven, 15 minutes, ding. That kind of cooked. Right now, the country is a tinderbox waiting to explode. And you do not want the possibility of people grabbing pitchforks, grabbing torches, grabbing firearms, and storming the halls of justice, or the houses of treachery. Sorry, Parliament. Or again, maybe I was right first time. You don't want these people to come after you, because I'll tell you right now, it won't be hundreds of people. It won't be 2,500 people like it was in Ballymena. It'll be it'll be tens of thousands bare minimum. It'll potentially be hundreds of thousands if more people wake up and have had enough and decide to kick off in that kind of way, rather than kick off as far as a game of football is concerned. As said, not that I'm advocating for it. But there are people who have had enough and would like nothing more than to fight the establishment. Some literally. And the thing is, Keir the traitor Starmer may want civil war. And I know some people are going to say we mustn't give him what he wants. But as I said, oh, that will be the door. That will be my delivery. I think I ordered these a bit too big. Fuck. Okay, so let me tell you a little story. So, anybody who hasn't watched my talk, swims and strokes, this is a recent story. So, I ended up having an issue with some trousers. So, back then, I ended up having some trousers, and it wasn't so much I destroyed the trousers, but rather the zip, the thing that you're supposed to make sure you're not flying low and what have you, that ended up busting off on that pair of trousers. Now, I was like, alright, fair enough, got a spare pair in there, I'll use them. Go to work the next day, my last day this time because I booked off Friday and what have you as holiday. So, I do that shit, and basically, I go in with this pair. I literally finish the day, go to the bathroom because I want to have a quick slash before I leave, and then the unthinkable happens. The zip on that one fucking goes too. So I'm just sitting there like, for God's sake, why is this happening to me? So I've had to buy another pair of trousers because obviously I can't exactly go up there in shorts. And I ended up buying something that's, well, you can see it for yourself. It's way too big. It's way too fucking big, bro. Like, I'm not exactly a small guy. We all know that. Who said how many X's is that? Shut up, you. Like, I didn't think... Well, obviously, this is something like, I don't know, like 60 or something. Because I overestimated how big I was. But, yeah, you've seen how much fucking space I got in this shit. Like, I've got enough space in here to fit the whole Kardashian family. I swear to fucking God. So, I ended up ordering this pair, and now obviously I learned the hard way. I think I'm going to need a belt with this, or I'm going to have to order some other fucking trousers. So there you go, there's a story for you. But if anybody is interested in watching the talk, swims and strokes, that one, I'm going to link it in the description below. But back to the bottom line of this whole situation, and that is, I expect to see some robust justice for Ricky Jones. We're all expecting it. Because otherwise, you're basically sending a message. It's out of gas. Shit. Oh, I thought I put enough in there. Dude. But that's basically what you're saying. That it's open season on Indigenous English people. That's what you're saying. You're saying that there is two-tier justice in this country and that you will persecute the patriots while protecting the criminals and be truly the definition of what I called the CPS, which is the Criminal Protection Service. You really don't want to spark a civil war, because it will be the biggest in English history. And the first casualties to fall will be the innocent, the people who don't deserve it. But you know who will also be victim to it? The two-tier justice system, and more importantly, Keir, the traitor Starmer.